Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Bullony Basketball. Here today with a special guest, a familiar face on the channel. He's been here several times before. My guy, Sports Wikipedia. How's it going, my man?
Doing good. Ready to talk NBA basketball, as always.
Of course, of course. We got a lot of stuff we're going to talk about today, but I think the first thing we're going to talk about, you got to start on a high note, right? And so we'll start with the Milwaukee Bucks, who in the recent NBA.com power rankings, they ranked first in the NBA. And like over the past few weeks, Giannis has been looking more and more like the Giannis we know, arguably the best player in the league, MVP candidate, and the Bucks are starting to come together. Chris Middleton had a big game the other night against Detroit, I believe. So like, what do you make of the Milwaukee Bucks over the past few weeks, and like, do you think that they're set and they're ready for the playoffs?
Um, I would say most likely the Milwaukee Bucks are contenders. My biggest concern for the Bucks is, of course, Chris Middleton, which
Mm-hmm.
I would say that's for most NBA fans that they'll say, oh, biggest concern for Milwaukee Bucks is Chris Middleton, because I don't think Chris Middleton has been consistent enough. He's not been as good as last year, but I will kind of give him a pass since he's been hurt. He hasn't been really able to get that rhythm going. But if Chris Middleton can get back to the way he was last season, where he was at least an all-star caliber player, averaging at least 20 points, being a solid playmaker and solid defender, and of course, Giannis Antetokounmpo being so freaking dominant, and Joe Holiday being an all-star caliber player with this being the best perimeter defender arguably, and Brook Lopez being the best interior defender arguably, because a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
say Brook Lopez should be defensive player of the year. Then I would say, even though I'm a Celtics fan and I hate to admit this, Bucks are the best team in the East.
Yeah. I mean, they definitely proven it with their core before that they can go all the way and win a championship. Of course, there are going to be contenders like your Celtics, like the Sixers, maybe even the Cavs. But I think like the Bucks is the perfect time for them to bring it all together. It seems like Giannis, he's missed a lot of games this year. At least it's felt like it, but he's still like in the MVP discussion. Of course, Chris Middleton's missed a lot of games, and a lot of them he came off the bench too. So like him getting his rhythm now is perfect. And then also, you look at Drew Holiday, who I would argue is maybe having the best year of his career. This late, I mean, he was an all-star again for the first time in a decade. I know he had years where he probably got snubbed kind of in New Orleans and was just too injured to probably make it. But I mean, still, you could argue this is his best year, and he's definitely stepped up in Middleton's absence. And then guys like, Bobby Portis is a six-man of the year candidate. Brook Lopez, like you said, defensive player of the year candidate. And then, the additions they made too are going to make for interesting lineups. Like before the year, I don't think anyone thought maybe Joe Ingles would have much of an impact on this team. He's kind of like in their closing lineup a majority of games. They just added Jay Crowder, so we'll see how they use him come playoff time. I know he hasn't played much, but maybe they're saving him for the playoffs. I think that's kind of like what the Clippers were kind of doing with like Robert Covington. It seems like now he's starting to get maybe more run. But I think, yeah, I mean the Bucks are definitely going to be in there. A lot of people are saying, I've seen a lot of like people are kind of like hating a lot on the Bucks because when they did win their championship, there were injuries. But at the same time, you can't deny the like heart of a champion is like what they say, right? So I don't know. I think Giannis is just one of those players that I could very well see him taking him over the top, but it's definitely not going to be easy. But I don't know. You got anything else you want to add here about Milwaukee?
Yes. Another thing about the Milwaukee Bucks is that they probably have the most all defensive caliber players. They have like three or four players that can make it to the all defense team. Giannis, Drew Holiday, and of course Brook Lopez.
Yeah, I saw something today. It was like with the eight forwards, like it's gonna be tough who to cut out, and like I think Anunoby was in there, and Jimmy Butler, and McDaniel, and Herb Jones and stuff. But it's like you have to think like Giannis would at least be somewhere on an all defensive team, and you could argue maybe he hasn't been their best defender this year. And then as well, like for the offensive low, we know what he creates. We know what Chris Middleton create. Especially if he plays anything in this playoffs like he did in 2021, it's going to be a tough out for anybody. But yeah, I mean, if you want, we can move on here. We can progress to the Dallas Mavericks, kind of talking about how they've been struggling a lot lately. I know they got a win in their most recent one from the day we're recording, but they lost back-to-back games to the Charlotte Hornets. Like, first of all, you wouldn't think they could lose any of them, even if maybe both their stars were out, especially given the Hornets are missing LaMelo. Obviously, they haven't had Miles Bridges all year. Like, they just kind of look like their season's a wash at this point, and yet the Mavericks lose 2 critical games to them. And one of them was at home. I'm surprised they didn't get booed more, but just looking at this Kyrie Irving, Luka Doncic experiment, there's not many more games left in the year, and they're on the brink of maybe missing the play-in. So what do you make of, this Dallas squad right now? And, like, what do you think maybe they could turn it around and kind of salvage the season, or you think they're just finished?
So I actually checked earlier in the day, and the Dallas Mavericks are actually only 5-10 in their last 15 games, and I think that's about when got they got Kyrie, and it's mainly I think their defense is the biggest problem. Like last season, I think Mavericks ranked around like top 5, top 10 in defensive rating, and this season they're like no better than 20th in defensive rating. So their defense has really dropped compared to last season. Yes, their offense might have went up, but is it really worth it? I think because I know that's why they got Kyrie so Luka could have more help on the offensive end. But is it really worth it given the fact how much their defense has dropped? I just feel like they were better off having Luka doing more carry job with the offense and the rest of the supporting cast or the rest of the players on the roster do carrying Luka for the defense. Because let's face it, facts. Luka Doncic doesn't really put any near as much effort on defense than he does on offense. And neither does really Kyrie, but I think I would argue Kyrie might put maybe a little more effort on defense than Luka. Like, yeah, sure, Luka, he's really, really good on offense. Arguably the most impactful offensive player besides maybe Jokic and Curry. But on defense, he's just too weak. And I'm not going to blame just Luka because other players to blame. But, on the Dallas Mavericks, players, including Luka, don't put enough effort on defense. They need to do a better job contesting shots.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think too, like what I've been thinking of more is that like if they were to add a guard, it would be nice to add like a true point guard and allow Luka to kind of develop more into that off-ball role. Because I feel like sometimes Luka, he maneuvers weirder. I feel like than a lot of guards that handle the ball a lot because like he changes pace so often. He's not necessarily like the quickest guy, but because he's so big and he can like change pace like that's what makes him hard to guard. But to an extent, I feel like sometimes it's detrimental to the team, and I feel like you'd want to put a guy maybe that is a true point guard around him instead of. I just don't think Kyrie is quite that fit just because I think of him more as like a combo guard. I know he's always been listed as really a point guard, but he really plays like kind of a shooting guard or a combo guard. But so it'd be nice like if you had like a Tyrese Halliburton or something instead of a instead of a Kyrie Irving. Like it'd be nice to see how that pairs up. But I mean, at this point, I mean, I'm sure you've seen the stuff like with Luka where it seems like he's kind of like depressed lately, not feeling himself. And I get it. Like there's a lot of things that could mean. It could be stuff like off the court that we don't know. But I think like part of it too is just the fact that they haven't been winning. This is probably the most disappointing season of his career because he's made the playoffs every year, but his rookie year was kind of more like a farewell tour for Dirk, if we're being real. So like this is probably like the most disappointing year of his career, even though you added probably the best individual talent at any point in Kyrie midway through the year, and it's just not working out. Like you said, the defense has not been very good, and I just don't know how they're really gonna compete. And then like the end of the year too, like they have some tough games left, so we'll see if they can capitalize. Maybe they could put it all together, but a lot of times when you put stuff together midway through the year and you make a big trade like that, you kind of have to hope that you already have like a culture built. Like I feel like that's kind of like the difference between maybe them and Phoenix is because Phoenix kept Devin Booker, they kept Chris Paul, they kept DeAndre Ayton, and even though they've had injuries, like a lot of the core guys are still there. And so you add Kevin Durant, who can basically fit into almost any system, in my opinion. Like it's not as big of a challenge, I feel like, for them. But yeah, I don't know if you have any more thoughts on Dallas or.
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
And how much the Mavericks have been struggling, it makes me wonder if they won the trade, the Brooklyn trade. Because
Mm.
if someone would have said that Mavericks and Brooklyn trade, if you said Brooklyn won the trade, I wouldn't be mad or say it's stupid, given the fact how much the Mavericks have been struggling.
Yeah, I think I even said too, like, I'm like, am I the only one who believes like the Nets won the trade? I just felt like the Kyrie edition, like, we know Kyrie's track record and just the fit didn't make sense. I feel like you'd kind of get like a second edition of like Rajon Rondo vibes, like when he was with Dallas, and that whole thing like went down south very quick. But yeah. If you want, though, we can move on here to the next topic, and that is about the Sacramento Kings, who I know at the time we're recording this, it is not official because they let the world down against Minnesota, and then, the Pelicans let the world down against Golden State to help the Kings clinch. So officially, right now, they haven't clinched, but they're playing Portland tonight. I think they should clinch, and basically everything would have to go wrong for them not to. So basically, the Sacramento Kings are a playoff team for the first time since 2006. And this is just, this is a huge headline, like for the city of Sacramento all year. Even when they started off 0-4, they had the light the beam chance. They seem confident in this team. And right now it's, proven to be their most successful team in, so long. So I guess what do you make of the Kings this year and just like, for the fans to have a team like this back in the postseason?
Well, mainly for the dedicated Kings fans, I want to say congrats. They deserve it. Even though the Kings haven't been to the playoffs since 2006, the dedicated fans have always been there through the bad times. Missing the playoffs for what, like 15 straight seasons? Is that right?
Since
And
yeah, like 16, yeah, something like that.
okay, all right. And so I must say congrats to them. They deserve it. Only to the dedicated fans, not to the ones that are jumping on the bad bandwagon. I know people are gonna say, "How you gonna say bandwagon when they're not winning championship and stuff?" Well, I mean, because a lot of people are only hyping up the Kings this year, or just only liking them because of how good they're doing this season. Because I think they're like what, third in the West.
Yeah, yeah. Right now they're the
Okay.
third seed. Yeah.
And so I think they have like 44, 45 wins right now, if I'm not mistaken.
Hmm.
And so yeah, this is definitely their best team since 2006, and I would argue the Kings are the most surprising team this season so far. I'll give a lot of credit to De'Aaron Fox. I think he's actually a really good player. You can argue he's underrated. Um, I was upset that Pacers had to get rid of or traded Sabonis, but I feel like Sabonis is a better fit with the Kings. I think he's doing really good with how versatile he is. He can score, pass and rebound. Speaking of Sabonis, they mentioned a stat saying he has the most like 15 something like that in games or whatever. I can't remember like what it was.
Mm.
My biggest concern with the Kings is their defense. I don't know how far they can go because like their defense needs to be better.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. I mean, they are. It's so weird because to think of a team that's missed the playoffs so many years, and then like the first time they're gonna get back into it, they're such a unique team. Like they will score like basically better than anybody in the league, but at the same time, of all the playoff teams, they'll probably defend worse than everybody in the league. So it's just gonna be like in playoff format. It seems like the game changes pace, it adjusts. So more than likely, the scores aren't going to be as high, but it's like, when have we seen a team that just scores at will like this? And then also, when have we seen a team that defends at like this, especially this high? So I don't even know what to expect, like when they're in the playoffs and what the scores are going to look like. But I mean, like you said, like De'Aaron Fox definitely deserves a lot of credit. I think he should be All NBA this year. Same thing probably with Domantas Sabonis. I think both of them should. And then just their core guys like Malik Monk and Kevin Herter and Harrison Barnes. Mike Brown deserves a lot of credit as the head coach, and Keegan Murray coming in as a rookie. So this team has been sensational this year, and I know like the last time they made the playoffs was 2006, and we say it's the best team since 2006, but it might even be further than that too, because like I think that year they were the 8th seed. So it might be like 2000. I know 2003 they won a playoff series and they almost got back to the conference finals, and then 2002 was obviously like probably the best year with Chris Webber and Peja and those guys. So like it might even be like almost 20 years that we're talking like their best team. And who knows what could happen? I mean, a lot of people I think are counting them out just because they haven't made it in so long, but I think they have more experience than people think because Sabonis has playoff experience, Harrison Barnes does, Terrence Davis, Trey Lyles. I mean, these guys play important minutes for him too, and Davion Mitchell's a college champion, right? So like they have guys that have some experience in the bright lights, and then I feel like they have a healthy mix of guys that don't too, and sometimes that's good, like Fox, like Monk, like Keegan Murray. So I'm interested to see what this team does, and I'm glad that they're going to be in the playoffs because a lot of people did not think they'd make it. I didn't even have them making the play-in, even though I thought they were good enough to. It was out of superstition just because they haven't in so long. But I don't know. You got anything else you want to add here about Sacramento?
Even though the Kings don't have any superstar players, they have at least a few all-star caliber players, at least a few players that can at least play at an all-star level. And I do think the chemistry is usually good. No selfish players. No one had to work together. And in my opinion, as great as to have, star power, I think chemistry is more important than having high star power.
Yeah, I mean, you could even argue, like, I think of all the guys in the West that made the All Star team this year, there was only two teams that had two, and it was the Grizzlies and the Kings. And with the Grizzlies, like, I personally would take the Kings duo. Like, I mean, Ja is great, but I would probably take Fox and Sabonis over Ja and Jaren Jackson Jr. personally. And then, of course, you got other duos like Kawhi and Paul George and LeBron and AD and stuff like that. But at the same time, like, those guys have also missed games. So just in terms of the regular season, I think their duo has had probably the best regular season of any duo in the Western Conference. And, they use it to perfection a lot in the pick and roll game, especially like because they're both lefties. So that's almost like a weird way. Like a lot of people, they're so used to guarding righties. Well, their duo is both lefties, and that's kind of like an advantage in itself. But yeah, man, if you want, we can move on here though, and we can talk about some of these stars that are returning right at the right time. Of course, Kevin Durant, the day we're recording this, scheduled to make his home debut tonight against Minnesota. LeBron came back a couple days ago against the Bulls. We got, some of the Wolves stars like Cat came back and Anthony Edwards came back the other night against, I believe, Golden State. But, just, thinking of these guys coming back, geared up for the playoffs, what do you think this means for a playoff run that looks like it could be one of the best in a while?
Well, as much as I hate to say this, if the Lakers are fully healthy, like let's just say if like the Lakers are fully healthy and they face like the Denver Nuggets in the first round, as much as I hate to say this, I think a fully healthy Lakers team could actually beat the Nuggets in the first round. Like say if the Lakers are fully healthy and they're facing the Nuggets in the first round and the Lakers win that series, I would not be surprised. I'm not saying the Nuggets are frauds or not a good one seed. It's just that the Lakers, number one seed, have two superstars, LeBron and AD, and they got D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves player. I think that's his name.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's the first thing I want. That's the first thing I want to say. And of course, if Kevin Durant comes back and he's fully healthy and ready, and of course the Suns are fully healthy, they're probably going to be my favorites. I mean, they should be the favorites to win it because they got Kevin Durant, fully healthy, I would assume. Devin Booker, another superstar. Chris Paul. I know Chris Paul's not the player he used to be, but he still contributes. And of course, you also got DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah. I definitely agree with you that I think the Suns, at least from a talent perspective, they're definitely probably the favorites to win it all. Now it's a matter of like putting it all together. And like I said earlier, like Kevin Durant, like he's one of the most seamless transitions into any, uh, you know, play style that any team wants to run. So it shouldn't be that big of an issue. Of course, there are teams though, like the Bucks, like the Celtics, like the Warriors, if they put it together, that have like finals experience that you can't count them out either. Of course, with the Lakers as well, they've been playing better as of late. And I guess we're gonna see like how this team does in the last few games here with LeBron added to the mix. Because of course Austin Reeves has played great. Is he able to maybe step into that third guy role, or is D'Angelo Russell gonna be back for all the games? Because I know he's kind of been dealing with an injury too. There's just a few things: Malik Beasley, Jared Vanderbilt, like just putting it all together when you add like an integral piece with LeBron, and it could bring them to a new level. either for better or for worse. And I mean, yeah, like I just think it's great, like getting everyone healthy for the playoffs. It does suck, like the Paul George injury that happened a few weeks ago. Hopefully that he's back. I think they're saying if he were to come back, it would be after like the first round, ideally, is what they're aiming towards. So they would have to win a playoff series, kind of, to get him back or to even have a chance. So that's kind of the only thing that kind of stinks. But other than that, I mean, I think the playoffs are going to be nice. But I don't know. You got anything else you want to throw in here?
Yes. Speaking of the Golden State Warriors, even though they're 6 seed, and a lot of people are down on them, saying they're not contenders. It's really hard for me to count on the Warriors because of all the experience they have, and pretty much every year since like 2015, when the Warriors are fully healthy, Curry, Clay, and Draymond, all the other key players, when Warriors are fully healthy since 2015, they've at least been to the finals. So it's really hard for me to count out the Warriors, especially if they're going to be fully healthy coming playoff time. And and I have a question for you. You ever notice how, I don't know if it's just me, but you ever notice how Jordan Poole plays better when Curry's not playing? Like whenever
Mhm.
Curry is playing, Jordan Poole can't play as good. Like I've seen plenty of times where Jordan Poole, when like Curry's hurt and Jordan Poole has to step up, he'll do actually really good. But let's just say when Curry returns and comes back, he just can't play as good for some reason.
Well, yeah, and let's not even forget, like just last year in the playoffs. Curry came off the bench, I think, for the whole Nuggets series or a majority of it. And Jordan Poole, I would argue Jordan Poole was maybe their best player, at least for the first 2 or 3 games he was. And a lot of those games were kind of like down to the wire for a little bit with Denver. Like, a few things, few possessions go differently. Maybe they don't end up winning that game. Maybe it goes like 6 games or 7 games. And if it goes 7 games, I mean, almost anything could happen, especially with, the MVP on the other side. So, I mean, I've definitely noticed it. Like he definitely plays more comfortable in a starting spot. I wonder if that means like he just wants to start, like more long term, consistently and stuff. But it's gonna be hard to knock Steph Curry off his starting position. So I mean, maybe on another team, or maybe if they were to throw some lineups in with Curry, Poole, and Clay. I feel like that might be hard for the defense, like for the 4 and 5, if it's Draymond or Looney to cover. But I mean, we'd have to see. But yeah. But if you want, though, we can move on here to the little mini game I have at the end of the show. This time, it is actually an NBA Hangman mini game. So hopefully you're stoked for this. But I'll read the rules and kind of go through what this Hangman game is about. So basically, this mini game gives the contestant, or in this case, Sports Wikipedia, a chance to guess the NBA related word. It could be like a player, a team, whatever. And I'll tell you like what category it is, with only allowing 5 incorrect letter guesses before a final guess has to be made. Now, if the answer is guessed correctly without any incorrect letters guessed, then you'll get 10 points. After that, for every incorrect letter you miss, the point values decrease by 1, starting at 5. So if you guys are right with 1 wrong letter, it's 5 points. 2 wrong letters, that's 4 points. 3 wrong, 3 points. And it keeps going from there. And after the 5th wrong letter, you get one last guess to earn 1 point. And so there's 5 questions in total, which makes it a potential score to get as 50 points overall. And again, I'll provide the category, but are you ready for the first one? So you'll just be guessing like the letters and stuff like that, but are you ready?
Yes, I gotta do something real quick.
Okay, so the first thing, and I'll tell you how many letters are in each word and stuff. So the first thing you're guessing, and let me mark down, you're guessing a current player, and it has 7 letters in the first name and 7 letters in the last name. And you're just, guessing letters and stuff and then trying to put it together.
Hmm. So the first name starts with like has 7 letters.
Yeah, the first name has 7 letters, the last name has 7 letters.
Mm,
And it's a current
mm.
player.
Oh, okay. Is there an A?
There is an A. Actually, the first letter in his first name starts with an A. And then also, the fourth letter in his last name is an A.
Is there uh a W?
There is not a W. So that's one wrong guess. So now if you were to guess the player correctly right now, you could get 5 points. I'm thinking maybe I should get like a piece of paper or something, and like I could like write it down. Okay. So I think I did it right because it's gonna show the wrong way. So that's what it looks like right now.
Okay.
Trying to make sure I'm showing it right.
Why is it dark in your room?
It's like dark behind me, but it's like
Oh, okay.
yeah. So you can guess another letter, or you could make a guess at like who you think this is. It's a current player, remember?
Is there an E?
There is an E. So weird. I got to draw this like backwards. um, so yeah.
Man,
I feel like
I have no idea.
I feel like he's pretty known too. Um,
That's the thing too. Like, I mean, I was like, man, I should probably know who this is, but I will. Like, I forget names.
I'll give you a hint. He was an all-star this year.
Mm. Damn. I don't know.
Um, okay, you can keep guessing like other letters too. You get 5 wrong ones before it's straight up over.
Mm. Is there a C?
There's not a C, so that's 2 wrong letters. Let me make the Hangman guy while I'm at it. Okay, this is what we're looking at.
Is there an O?
There is an O. Yes. Um, let's see. All right. Again, current player, all-star this year.
Oh my God.
I think you'll get it before the 5 are used.
Is there an M?
There is not an M. No. Let me give this guy a hand. I'm gonna start putting like the letters you've used on there too. I don't remember what the first one was, but yeah. Oh, I didn't put it on here. So that's 3 you've used now. But you got 2 more yet.
Is there a T?
There is a T. Yes. Try and get it like close.
Hmm. It could be a player I don't know how to pronounce either.
I think you know how to pronounce this guy.
Because I'm trying to think of all the players in the West that's been an All-Star. Mm. Is there a U?
There is not a U. No. So that is 4 letters. You still got one more incorrect one you can make, and then you got to throw out a final guess.
Man, I'm not very good at this. Is there an S?
There is an S, yeah. I gotta think how to draw this. Like this. Okay. Yeah, that came up right.
Mm. I have no idea. Is there an F?
There's not an F. Um, so I guess this is what you got to work with. I guess if you don't know, not if you've gone through all of them, you could give up. But you got any thoughts coming to mind?
No, I don't.
Okay. Well, I will put it together. The correct answer, as I'm still writing it, is Anthony Edwards.
Oh, okay. From the Timberwolves?
Yes. So that's okay. So that's only the first one. There are 4 more. Now I'll be more prepared for this. I probably should have been ready in the last one, but it is okay. So you can redeem yourself here on this one. So are you ready for the second one?
Yep.
Okay, let me put the blanks and oops. All right, whatever. All right. So you're guessing on this one a former player.
Former player?
A former player, yep.
Okay. How many letters?
There's 5 in the first name, 4 in the last.
Okay.
Try to get closer if that.
Okay.
Oh, there we go.
Is there a C?
There's not a C. No.
Hmm.
Okay. I should mark it
Wait,
down.
how many letters in the first and last name again?
There's 5 in the first name, 4 in the last name. So you got like the 5
Okay,
here.
I'm
And
gonna
4.
guess the player actually.
Okay.
Larry Bird?
It is not Larry Bird. That's a good guess though.
Okay, okay.
Um.
All right.
So yeah. So you're allowed. I should say 2 because you haven't made too many like guesses at it. So you're allowed 1 guess in between the letters. So now you could guess a letter or you could guess another player, but it probably helps to guess a letter.
Okay. Is there an A?
There is an A.
I really thought it was gonna be Bird.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad guess, and this probably would still lead you to believe it's Bird because it's in the same spot.
Um. Is there an E?
There is an E. Yes. Um. Okay. So this is what we're working with.
So E's the second letter in the last name.
Yes.
Okay. Mm. Is there a K?
There is no K.
Hmm.
I didn't draw the Stickman guy either, so I'll start doing that. Okay.
Is there an R?
No R.
Hmm.
There is one more. I will say there is one more vowel in this one.
Is there an O?
It's not an O, unfortunately. So that is 4 guesses.
Is there an S?
There is an S. Yes. Trying to think how to draw this. Okay. The backwards S's really throw me off. Okay.
Is there a P?
No P.
Hmm.
So that is the 5th letter there. So you get a chance to guess it with what you got, unless you literally don't know, but
I don't know.
you don't know.
Mm-mm.
All right. I'll solve the puzzle. One thing I will say is definitely more, I feel like, intriguing solving the puzzle, like on my part, like doing this than like my 20 questions or the trivia or whatever. But the correct answer, oh god, that letter looks terrible. But hopefully you can see this. David West. The former Hornet, Pacer. But yeah, so David West was the answer there.
Okay.
But okay, I feel like now you have a better idea though of the game. So I feel like you'll probably get this one. So this next one is actually an NBA team. So that limits it down to, I feel like, less things to think about. So that could also be good. But are you ready for the third one?
Yes.
Okay, let me make the blanks. And just like the Anthony Edwards one, it is 7 letters in the first word and 7 letters in the last one.
How many did you say? 7?
7 in each.
Do you go by city? Or how does that work?
So I'm putting the city name and then also the team name. Just to provide.
Okay, so I have to say the city first and then the name?
I mean, yeah, unless like you just know like what team it is basically, but that's kind of like what it is.
Okay. So the city has 7 letters, correct?
Yep, the city has 7 letters and the team name has 7 letters. So,
how many letters?
sorry.
How many letters does the name have? Not the city, but the team name.
Well, so the team name has 7 here, and then this is the city, also has 7.
Okay. I thought I had it, but never mind.
And you can also guess a letter first. You don't get penalized if you guess correct letters. There's one vowel in here that if you so happen to guess that vowel, I feel like you'll get it.
Because I'm thinking of like the team names. I'm trying to count how many letters there is. That's what I'm doing right now in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Detroit Pistons?
It is not the Detroit Pistons. That's a good guess though.
Okay.
So no penalty there really. So that was like the first chance. So now you can guess a letter if you want.
Is there an A?
There is an A, yes. Um, let me see right here. Yeah, that's it. So just second letter in the team name.
Mm. Is there a D?
You say D?
Mm-hmm.
There's not a D. Okay. Oh, I didn't draw the Hangman guy. I gotta give him a head. Okay.
Is this East or West team?
It's an East team. I'll say that. So there's no D in it, and there's an A, but it's the second letter of the team name.
Is there an S?
Yes, there is an S. Right at the very end of the team name. Okay.
Or is there a C?
No C. That's only your first incorrect letter though, because you made an incorrect guess, but that doesn't count against you, because it was at the beginning. So, wait. Oh wait, no, my bad. Because you guessed D as well. So that was only your second one, though. But still sitting good. No D, no C. There's an A and an S in the team name.
Is there an R?
There is an R. There's actually two R's. So that was a good guess. That R, the one R is kind of trash. But so the third letter in the city and the first letter in the team name. So R-A.
Okay, I'm gonna guess the name.
Okay.
Toronto Raptors.
It is the Toronto Raptors. Nice job. So, I don't have to fill that in. You got it. I'll just check mark it. So you got that after two wrong letters. So that is 4 points on that one. Not too shabby. So now you're on the board. See, I knew after the last one that you were going to start getting the hang of it and you would get it. So not too bad. So we got two more though yet. Are you ready for the fourth one?
Yes.
Okay, let me make. I gotta see how many letters this guy has in his last name. Okay, so he's got 4 letters in the first name and 11 in the last name, and he's a current coach.
He's a coach.
Yep, he's a current coach.
I really don't know any coaches' names.
I think you know this coach. He's on a pretty good team.
Yeah, I'm just gonna give up because I really don't know any coaches.
Well, you could guess letters until you run out of options, or so yeah.
Is there a B?
There is a B. Actually, that's pretty helpful. His last name starts with a B. So he's an East coach. His team's pretty good. I'll give you another hint. His team has clinched for the playoffs already.
Is the West team?
Eastern Conference, yeah. Eastern Conference.
East?
Yep.
East or West?
He's in the East.
Okay. The only teams I know in the East that clinched automatically are the Celtics and the Bucks, and I think the Sixers.
It could be one of those teams. Maybe.
Damn it. And I don't even know the freaking Celtics coach. I forgot his name.
If you make a guess at it and you like don't, I guess like know the name, but if you're guessing the right thing, I'll give it to you.
Is there an A?
No A. So that's one off. I know, I'm surprised there's no A. Almost every word has an A in it. But yeah, seems like you narrowed down to 3 teams of who he could be coaching.
Is there a C?
No C. So that is it's no C.
Is there an S?
There's no S. So that's 3 used. You could also, if you want, like, so if you don't know the guy's name, but you know, like, what team he coaches, you could guess, like, I'm going to guess the coach of, and then, like, say whatever team.
Does he coach the Bucks?
It is the coach of the Bucks. It's, yeah, Mike Budenholzer.
Okay.
Who it is, yes.
Oh, okay.
Not bad. So you still got 3 points on that one. Not too shabby. So now we got one more. Now, I will say this one might be a little hard. So this is actually a basketball move, and there's 6 letters in the first word for it, and there's 4 letters in the second word. I will give you another hint. It was popular way back in the day. If you miss the first hint, I'll give you another. If you miss like on the first try, I'll give you another hint too. But so it's a basketball move. There's 6 in the first word, and there's 4 in the second word.
Six in the first word?
Yep, there's 6 in the first word, 4 in the second word.
Is there an F?
There is an F. Actually, it's a pretty good guess because it starts with an F. The first word starts with an F. And again, a basketball move. Something was patented by a certain player that played in the 70s and the 80s that was nicknamed the Iceman.
Oh, finger roll.
It is the finger roll. Yes.
It's George Gervin.
Yep. So that one, you didn't miss any of the letters. So that one, you get it right away, you get 10 points. So that is not too bad. So overall, you got 10 on that one, and you got 7 prior. So you ended with 17 points. Not too shabby, actually. Wow. How do you think you did?
I hate to say this, but bad actually. I wish I could have done better.
Well, to be fair, I've never had this kind of thing on my show. Trying new things out, just to, for the heck of it, I guess. But no, next time I'll come prepared. I didn't account for Discord's camera being weird, and I had to write every letter backwards. So also my handwriting sucks, so that probably wasn't very good. But it is what it is. Other than that, though, yeah, I mean, that's basically gonna close out the show. I'm glad we could do the Hangman game and do the whole show. But again, hope you guys enjoyed, and thank you guys for watching. You got any other final thoughts before we close this thing out?
Nope.
I like that. Very quick. But yeah, again, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we're out. Peace.